The Mandalorian Episode 6, The Prisoner. So this episode, I would say, was definitely the cool, tropey episode. Episode 4 and 6, Sanctuary and this episode are the two episodes where it's like, obviously, Sanctuary was the stranger strolls into town and protects the random village that can't protect itself. And this was basically the heist episode. It was really a breakout episode, breakout of prison episode, but it was kind of like, the heist / prison break. Excuse me. Really entertaining episode, of course funny. This was the Bill Burr episode, so I think a lot of people are looking forward to that one just to see what his character would be. Definitely funny because it's Bill Burr, so they made him the funny character. But they had a lot of great references in this. They had the Stormtrooper joke, which was hilarious. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I won't spoil what happens in the finale for those of you who haven't seen it yet, because I'm kind of doing this backwards. But I don't know if I like the Stormtrooper joke in the finale more than I like this one, because this one I just thought it was really funny because maybe it's because it was the first one, but it was also just like, it was like, yeah, he was a not a shock trooper. I forgot exactly what his designation was, but he was like, the Mandalorian's like, oh, well, that's not saying much, and he's like, I wasn't a stormtrooper, jackass. And I thought that was really funny. Like, they make that reference, like, like stormtroopers can't shoot. Like, I wasn't a stormtrooper. It was like I was like a sharpshooter or something like that. So I thought that was funny. Of course, they make the Gungan reference. That was very interesting. I think they made another reference as well, but I can't remember what it was. And then, of course, they have the Twi'lek in this episode, which some people had an issue with her doing like her weird hissing thing. It was kind of weird because it was almost like she was a vampire, but obviously she's not. Not that I'm aware of. I don't think Twi'leks like drink blood or anything like that. That was just her thing. But I like the episode. I like the way they did it. They had like basically the devil character who's played by Clancy Brown, or Mr. Krabs, some of you may know him as. Also Lex Luthor in the old Superman show. I had no idea. I thought that's what made me think Lex Luthor was black. Clancy Brown. That's what I thought. But anyway, aside from weird stuff, great episode. It was a really good action episode. It was one of the episodes that I would say really best exemplified the Mandalorian as a character, as like a standalone character that can get the job done, because he wasn't going in to save Baby Yoda. Like, they find Baby Yoda and stuff, and it's like this weird thing where like things seem like they're about to get tense, and it's like, all right, we're here, the mission is ready to be taken care of, let's go ahead, we'll break him out, and we'll get the F out of here. So the Mandalorian goes in, they have their first encounter with the droids, and it's like, hey Mando, and it's like, see, like he took off, they thought he just ran, and then he comes up behind the droids, and he's just like taking them out left and right, and of course everybody's a dick to him. It's like, whatever, like, should have been here to help us. They were just being dicks. So he does some really epic stuff, takes out all the effing droids, and it's like, they don't give a crap. They're like unimpressive, but it was totally impressive. It was amazing. And so they go through, and then they find out that, we find out, I guess, along with the Mandalorian, the person they're breaking out is someone that he kind of had a bit of a falling out with, and it also happens to be the sister of this guy that the Mandalorian used to have a relationship with. So I was like, okay. Or it's the brother of the woman, I should say. That's how I should have phrased that. So, he had a relationship with this Twi'lek formerly, and then the person they're breaking out is her brother, and then they had a bit of a falling out, which I assume was far less amicable than the relationship that he actually had with the female Twi'lek. So it's like, all right, this is who we're breaking out. And then things get really chaotic because it's like, all right, well, now we're going to officially betray you. They already had things go wrong because they go in. They thought that there were going to be no life forms, no actual humans on the ship. It was just going to be droids. They come across the one human who I found out very recently was actually played by the voice actor for Anakin from the Clone Wars. That's who that was. Like, I had no idea. I couldn't tell by his voice when he did it. But apparently the guy who was like the one human on the entire ship, that was actually the voice actor for Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars series. So that was a pretty cool thing to have him in there because, like I said, I never, you don't really know voice actors like that. So I didn't recognize him visually, and voice-wise, he changes his voice up for Anakin. So I was like, I never would have been able to tell. So that I thought was pretty cool. But, they have the crazy segment where they have like this weird, insane standoff where it's like, do we kill this dude? Like, we should kill this dude. He's got the thing. We can't let him push the button. But if he pushes the button, we're all screwed. So kill him before he pushes the button, or calm him down so he won't push the button, and we let him live. And just back and forth, back and forth. And then, of course, he gets killed. and then he hit the button as he died anyway. Classic maneuver. So then everything's chaotic. They break the dude out. They push the Mandalorian in. So it's like, oh, you guys are effing dicks. And so, of course, he ends up finding his way out of there. And then he tracks them down like effing Batman. Like, they literally had a Batman moment with Bill Burr's character. The lights are flashing and he's like disappearing and stuff. And then he pops up behind him and he takes him down. And that was pretty cool. The scene with Clancy Brown's character, we found out like their characters being the appearance, the classic appearance of the devil anyway, they're fireproof. He hits him with the flamethrower and it's just nothing. I was like, oh, okay. Classic move for the Mandalorian. Absolute failure this time around. But definitely a cool action scene. Like, he tried to choke him, and then he, to start, it was a good effort. Like, he choked him like through the vents, and it wraps around his neck. Which the physics on that I wasn't 100% sure of, but I was like, it looks cool. So he's trying to choke him, and it's like, nope, and he pulls him through, and then he's just getting slammed on stuff. Like, he like wipes his head across a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, he's wearing a helmet though, so I'm like, there's really no actual point of like slamming a dude's head across a bunch of stuff because he's inside of a helmet. It's not like you kept bashing him. That's different because your head still shakes around, you still get affected. Just sliding left and right through some stuff is like it vibrates, but it's not like shaking. Like, there's nothing. That's not an actual combat move when you do that. But he's slamming him around and stuff, and then eventually he closes the door on him and is like, we thought that was it, and then he's like pushing the door open, and then he slams the other door on his face, which I'm in the same vein as everyone else. Like, the other two people was like, okay, he took down the Twi'lek, he took down Bill Burr's character and imprisoned them. Sure, I could see that. Like, we thought he killed everybody, but he didn't, because it's him kind of growing as a more humane character. Sure, but when he slammed that door on the dude's face, I thought that was it. Everyone thought that was it, because it wasn't like he had some extra space to kind of block that. It was like he was already pushing the door. His hands weren't like reaching out to slow the door down. He was already working on this one door, and then the other door came in and just smashed sideways on his face. And I was like, yeah, he's impervious to heat. So I guess he has super strength. Like, the one scene where he literally picks up an entire droid and he just threw him. And I was like, obviously he has like an insane amount of super strength. So it does make sense that he's actually alive. It was just a crazy thing because, anything that gets hit with the door, especially when it's just the face. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't like he slowed it down and it closed in on him. It was literally like he was already doing it, and then the other door came in a few inches further out and slammed straight on his face. So, like everybody else, I thought for sure he was dead, but he just had an insane headache. And I was like, okay, yeah, it does make sense. When you really think about it, he literally picked up a droid with his bare hands. He's fireproof. I could see a door slamming on his face being like, all right, it's not actually going to kill him. It might knock him unconscious, though. So him not being dead, I was like, yeah. But when I first saw it, it was like, oh, I thought for sure that dude was toast. Like, I thought his face was squished and, like, smashed in half, and he died. But it was like, yeah, I guess that does make sense. It would knock him unconscious because he's impervious to fire. He has super strength and stuff like that. He'd be a lot tougher than that door. I mean, considering the fact that he stopped it, that would have split a human, any human in half, or a Twi'lek, anyone that was much weaker. It would have killed literally anyone else. So, that first door would have been it, no matter what. Like, it would have just been like, and you'd be just juice on the ground. So it does make sense that he'd survive that. But it was a bit of a shock when you like first see it, because it's just like, oh snap, I thought once his face was smashed, that's it. But everyone ends up surviving. We had a cool scene with Baby Yoda where he's doing like this little cat and mouse game with the droid. So that was pretty cool. The droid was also played by the guy from IT Crowd, the nerdy black guy from IT Crowd, so that was pretty cool. But they go through this cat and mouse game. The droid figures out something's going on, and that's where we get like our first image of kind of what's going to come into play in the next episode with like, oh, what's this message that we haven't seen before from Carl Weathers' character. So I was like, all right, something's going on. We have to get the kid. So he's going around, he's trying to find Baby Yoda and stuff. He finds Baby Yoda at the end, and Baby Yoda's about to use the Force, and then of course the Mandalorian like blasts him, and Baby Yoda like looks at his hand like, huh, I'm getting better. Like, and then we see it's the Mandalorian, and so he ends up protecting the kid. Everyone else is in prison. He ends up taking the guy because it's like, hey, you could kill me, but you do have a code. So he does end up imprisoning the guy after knocking everybody else out. He doesn't decide to kill him. He takes him back to where he belongs. It's like, no questions asked, right? Sticks the tracker on him. Job's done. Gets his money. I'm out of here. And then here comes the Rebel Alliance. It's like, oh yeah, it looks like they're about to send out So I forgot exactly what they said, but they were about to send out something. I was like, well, let's stop that. And they just shoot the whole place up. They destroy the ship that's coming up that's about to kill the Mandalorian. They're doing like little bombing runs and like wiping stuff out. And that was awesome. And also all three of the pilots were directors for the show. It was Dave Filoni. I can't remember the other two people's names because I'm not familiar with them yet. But Dave Filoni, who of course is like the guy who made Clone Wars and Rebels and is probably the main reason. Like everyone knows Jon, Favreau because of obviously the Marvel stuff, but Dave Filoni is like the main reason this is even happening. Because if he hadn't done, I personally feel like if he hadn't done such an amazing job on Clone Wars and Rebels, we wouldn't even have this show. Like we wouldn't have a live action Star Wars TV show because they just do the movies. I feel like it's Dave Filoni's the reason we have it. So Dave Filoni was in there. And then the woman who is doing Obi-Wan, and I believe she actually directed this episode as well. Or maybe she directed episode 3, I can't remember. She's in here. And then the other guy directed an episode as well. And I can't remember. I think she may have done episode 3. And then the other guy was the one who directed this episode. And Dave Filoni directed episode 5. He wrote and directed that one. And he wrote a couple of the other ones as well. But yeah, I was like, that's cool. They had them in there. And so, they do their runs and they're like blasting the thing and just destroying it. And then the Mandalorian's like, cool, got rid of douchebags, left them in prison. So, of course, they'll be back in season 2, most likely as enemies again. We'll see how that ends up playing out. So, most likely enemies, though. And so he takes off. We find out they're in prison. And that's the end of the episode. Definitely a great one. Good action episode. Like I said, it has some good comedy. Of course, you got Bill Burr. So they're going to make him the funny character. He was cool, too. Like, I like the little Predator gun style thing he had on his shoulder there. So that was pretty cool. The action as a whole, I thought was entertaining. Like, the Mandalorian, when he first takes out the droids, that was a super cool scene. When they have some of the shootouts, like Bill Burr taking out the different droids because he has, like, the shoulder gun. So he can dual wield and shoot 2 droids or just, target 3 guns on 1 droid. I thought that was cool. I was like, I like that mechanic. It's just entertaining. So I like the way they handled that. Throughout, I thought the action was cool. The Batman moment with the Mandalorian where he's disappearing in the flashes, definitely awesome. But in general, great action episode. It was a good, prison break / it kind of was a heist episode because they were going in to steal the dude back. But it was really good. I like that. They had different creatures in there. They had the one creature from Han Solo's movie, like kind of like the blue monkey looking creature, which oddly enough was voiced by Jon Favreau. Like he voiced that in Han Solo, of course. So that was pretty cool. But all in all, definitely an entertaining episode. And of course it leads into, the final 2 going into 7 and 8, kind of the big 2-parter for the end of this season, but definitely a fun episode. Definitely enjoyed it. Once again, it was a standalone episodes, 4, 5, and 6, like this and the last 2, all 3 of them were definitely standalone episodes, but this was definitely, I'd probably say this was my favorite one out of all 3. I would say this is my favorite one. I think Sanctuary probably has the most relevance as far as maybe the end of the series. Like, I feel like all 3 episodes have some very significant stuff. Like, Sanctuary, I think, was the human side of the Mandalorian that'll come into play later in the series, so we'll probably see him go back to Sanctuary. The last episode had the big teaser with some Mandalorian going up to the body of this assassin, so that of course is going to be a big deal because it's like a secret special Mandalorian is going to get revealed. And then this episode, of course, has 3 people that are not killed off, all of which are tough in their own right. And of course, they're going to come back as villains. Maybe not in season 2. I would assume so. They're going to get out of that prison somehow, or it's, someone else is going to get them. Maybe the Mandalorian, whoever that secret Mandalorian was, will get these 3 people somehow. Story-wise, it'll work, and it'll just happen. So that should be something. We'll see what happens with it. So all 3 of these episodes, I think, even though they were standalone for this season, they all kind of introduce elements that are definitely going to come into play in the future. But action-wise, this is the most entertaining one. It was probably out of all 3, this is the most entertaining overall. Sanctuary had the cool ATST, which is one of my favorite things in the whole season, just for changing that dynamic of an ATST. So that was cool. The last episode was kind of meh. It was my least favorite, like most people's. And then this one was just an entertaining all-around episode where it was funny. It had really good action, and it was just like, how is this really going to play out? And, how is he going to take down these people now that they've betrayed him? So definitely a great episode. Really looking forward to, well, I've already seen the episode. I'm looking forward to reviewing episode 7 because it goes into the finale. But of course, we'll love to know what you guys thought about this one. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know your thoughts on the 3 characters that will most likely be coming back. We have Clancy Brown's character, Bill Burr's character, and then the Twilight character. I can't remember that actress's name. I just know she was in both Harry Potter and Game of Thrones. I never would have thought that was her. I'd love to know your thoughts on those 3 characters and what you think about them. Do you want to see them return? Do you only see one of them return, 2 of them, or all 3, something like that? We'd love to know your thoughts on them as well as the episode as a whole. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.